Good Morning Gwinnett, a division of Noise Media Network, hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney, sharing stories about people and places around beautiful Gwinnett County and beyond. Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Southern living at its best.
Good morning, all my Gwinnetians out there in Gwinnett land and all of you around the world. Listen to the sound of my voice. It is a beautiful day here in Gwinnett County. 63 degrees going up to a high of 79, so it's going to be nice. 10% chance of rain, but that's very small. We can deal with that. We can deal with that 10%. So I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. It is Thursday, October the 15th. Yeah, we right in the middle. We have made it to the middle. You know, today is my Friday. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying, you know, I love doing this show, but I got to tell y'all, when Thursday comes, I'm excited because Friday, I don't have to get up early except for tomorrow. Tomorrow I do have to get up early because I have a women's league meeting with the Atlanta Black Chamber, so I will be up bright and early because it's at 8:30. But normally on Fridays I sleep to 8:30. I don't really sleep to 8:30. I just don't get out the bed till 8:30. But tomorrow I'll be up early because I got to do the meeting. So I'm not going to talk so much today because I got two wonderful guests here with me today. One is here every Monday, but she's here in a different capacity today. So I'm excited to bring them on. But before I do that, I got to give you your horoscopes. So today is National, what's the day? You're not going to get National Horoscope. So today is National Cheese Curd Day. Okay, seriously, anything cheese is all right by me because I love cheese. So I love cheese, and anything cheese is okay by me. So today is National Cheese Curd Day. So let me tell y'all who has some of the best cheese curds out there. Zaxby's. I love Zaxby cheese curds. So I might have to jump over there and get me some after I do all this stuff I got to do today if I don't get a chance to eat lunch. But anyway, let's go ahead and get on with your horoscopes, brought to you by noted astrologer Michael Thiessen. Today is October the 15th, Thursday. We're going to kick it off with Aries like we always do. And here we go. Aries, you need to obtain additional details. Your need to obtain additional details will lead you into strange topics of conversation. Okay, now, I don't know what that means, Aries. Watch your tendency to live for the day and to spend too much on entertainment and children. It could set you back. Enjoy the company of relatives today. Listen here, Aries, you got to live. Listen, I know we want to live right now. We want to we want to do it right now. But you got to think about the future, because if you spend everything in the present, you're going to be broke in the future. That's not a good thing. Not at all, because we don't, listen, our future is so uncertain right now. We need to be as prepared as we possibly can. Taurus, this day was meant for love. Okay. Make creative changes to your residence. Hard work will not go unnoticed. Secret intrigues could get you into trouble. Oh, Lord. You know what I say, Taurus? If it's a secret, you shouldn't be doing it. You should not. So if you're doing something in secret, it's going to get you. And this day is meant for love. So you do some love today. Spread love. Hug on somebody. Love on somebody. Tell them you love them today. Gemini, your ability to add a sophisticated touch will help you capture the look you're after. Your reputation will be affected. You can get ahead if you present your ideas to superiors. You know, Gemini, you know what they say. You got a rep to protect. That's what they always say. Watch the rep. Somebody's trying to mess you over and mess up the reputation, so watch that. Cancer, you will want to complain about the injustice that is going on. Misunderstandings at work could easily lead you to your demise. You could be cornered, so be prepared to tell the truth. Yeah, misunderstandings at work. Here's the thing, Cancer. State your case and state it clearly and state it honestly. That way you don't have to worry about misunderstandings messing you up. You know what I'm saying? Just do that. And you could be cornered, so just be prepared to tell the truth. Don't lie. Do not try to lie your way out. Today is not the day it's going to get you. Leo, exercise your talents and present your ideas to groups you think you can contribute to. You can expect sorrow to evolve from information you discover. You will be subject to pushy individuals if you get involved in uncertain organizations. All right, listen here. You don't want to be involved with any uncertain organizations today, Leo. If you don't understand it, you don't like it, don't get involved with them. It could be trouble. So don't do it. You don't want trouble? Don't join. They say, come on, join us. Don't do it. Not today. Today is not the day. Virgo, you can bet you'll draw attention to yourself. Okay, Virgo. You need some help today? Be sure to get involved with those who can introduce you to unusual forms of entertainment. Now, here's the thing, Virgo. I don't know what that means, unusual. Be careful about that. I don't know what that means, but have fun, but be careful. All right, listen, I'm going to a song. I'll be right back after the song to give you more of the horoscopes brought to you by noted astrologer Micah Thyssen. You're listening to the Good Morning Gwinnett Show. Stay tuned.
I don't need no roses on my plate. I can pull you closer to me, babe. Ain't nobody touch me like you can. I just need some closure, a little closure.
Calling you up at 2 in the morning, but you don't wanna talk, you don't wanna bother. Yeah, so I take another shot, let my brain do the walking. I don't wanna be your friend, I want something real. Maybe if I stay the night, you could feel the same. And maybe if you treat me right, we could rearrange. But I'm not even gonna try if you don't wanna stay. So how's it gonna be? You got me on my knees. I don't need no roses on my bed. If I could pull you closer to me, babe. Ain't nobody touch me like you can. I just need some closure, a little closure from you. Tear me apart when I know you don't want me. Cause I've been going fast and you wanna go slowly. Maybe I'm just wasting time. Tell me how you feel. I don't wanna be your friend, I want something real. Maybe if I stay the night, you could feel the same. And maybe if you treat me right, we could rearrange. But I'm not even gonna try if you don't wanna stay. So how's it gonna be? You got me on my knees. I don't need no roses on my bed. If I could pull you closer to me, babe. Ain't nobody touch me like you can. I just need some closure, a little closure. I don't need no roses on my bed. If I could pull you closer to me, babe. Ain't nobody touch me like you can. I just need some closure, a little closure from you. A little closure, babe. Oh, a little closure. Little closure from you. I don't need no roses on my bed. If I could pull you closer to me, babe. Ain't nobody touch me like you can. I just need some closure, a little closure. I don't need no roses on my bed. If I could pull you closer to me, babe. Ain't nobody touch me like you can. I just need some closure, a little closure from you.
Welcome back. It's your girl, Audrey Bell Kearney, giving you the daily horoscopes brought to you by noted astrologer Micah Thyssen. We're going to pick it up with Libra. You may find that depression is causing you to feel lonely and insecure. Talk to someone you trust in order to see the whole picture. You will be overly sensitive today. All right, Libra, listen here. You're going to be overly sensitive. Just talk to somebody. That's all. Yeah, you may find depression is causing you to feel lonely and insecure. You need to talk to somebody. Talk to a spiritual leader. We're going to be talking to one pretty soon, so stay tuned. Talk to somebody. There's a line. There's a hotline. Get the help you need. Scorpio, don't hesitate to voice your opinions at a group meeting. However, keep your thoughts to yourself at home. Do something constructive outside. Acknowledge your lover's needs. Yeah, you can speak up in a meeting at work, but don't take it home because that could cause you to be in the doghouse in your own house. Don't do it. Sagittarius, family outings should include visiting friends or relatives. Your business partnerships should turn out to be quite lucrative. That's always the good sign, right, Sag? Try to get out and socialize. Have some fun. Today, Thursday. Go get you a margarita. Just put your mask on. My cousin made my mom a mask. It's really cute. It's yellow. So, yellow is, I got on yellow today. Yellow is one of my favorite colors. And she put a zipper on the mask. So my mother drink through straws all the time. So if she want to drink something, she just unzip the mask and drink through the straw. So go out, socialize today, Sagittarius. Get you a drink. But see, can you find one of the masks with a zipper so you can keep your mask over your nose. Capricorn. You will need a little competition today. Get involved in activities that will stretch your stamina. Don't push your opinions on others today, or you may find yourself in the doghouse. I just said that to somebody. Who was that? Sagittarius? Scorpio. You are best to do something energetic with friends instead. Listen, don't be so pushy today. You're going to be in the doghouse. The doghouse is cramped up. Who wants to be there? It's too small. You don't want to be there. Aquarius. You will not be easy. Changes will not be easy for youngsters involved. Give everyone in the house a physical chore that will burn off some of that excess energy. Erratic behavior at home may be hard to handle. Put them to work. If they're acting crazy at home today, if it's all erratic, make them do some work. Go sweep up the leaves. It's the fall. Go cut the grass. Put them to work. By the time they finish that, only thing they want to do is eat, take a bath, and go to bed. Put them to work, little buggers. And my fellow fish Pisces. Plan a day of enjoyment with them. Insecure gestures of friendliness. Oh, Lord, we got to watch. Here goes some fake folks, Pisces. Insincere gestures of friendliness are likely to occur. Be cautious. Handling tools, machinery, or dangerous objects. Watch your toes. Watch your fingers. Watch your eyes. Watch your arms. Just be careful. And watch out for the fake folks. Yeah, watch out for the fake people. Enjoy it. Do something fun. Watch out for the fake people today. All right, that's all the horoscopes I got for this today, but I'll be back again on Monday at 10 a.m. to bring you more of the horoscopes brought to you by Noted Astrologer Micah Thyssen. Now let's get on to the show. So, y'all know every Monday, Georgette joins me. We talk about the word of the week, and we're supposed to talk about news, but we wind up talking about politics and all other kind of stuff, so we miss half the news on Monday, and we talk about other stuff, and then I have to get back to the news on Wednesday. Well, today she's here again, but today she brought a friend. Right? Her friend Kim Andrews. So Kim Andrews is the author of The Global Red Circle, Standing in Your Truth, Unleashing Our Most Powerful Selves. She's also the founder of Call to Peace, The Call to Peace. Georgette is the CEO of Dynamic Life Enterprises. She also produces a show called The Dynamic Life Show, and she is the co-inventor of the Big Beautiful Dog Company, which we ran together for 5 years. And she has a card deck called the I Am You Are card deck, which empowers you through words. I'm so happy to be here with them this morning. They're going to be talking to us about the importance of storytelling and how you can use storytelling to transform your life. So thank you, ladies, for joining me this morning. How are you?
Thank you for having us. We're doing great, Audrey. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, let me tell y'all something real quick. So, Kim is a leader at Unity Church, right? And I got to ask y'all this question. I got to ask you enjoyed it. She's a leader at Unity Church. I went to Unity Church a couple times. It's so peaceful that I would fall asleep through the meditation every single time. And I told Georgia, I was like, man, I'm falling asleep. Because listen, the church, you go in there, we would get energy healings. They do meditation before the service. And every time the leader would do the meditation, I had a hard time waking up. That was probably some of the most peaceful sleep 5 minutes I've got ever. It was like the greatest thing ever. But Kim is a Unity leader. She's a leader at Unity Church. And Georgette used to be the romance enhancer. So I want to know how the two of you met. Unity leader at church and romance enhancer. How y'all met?
Nobody's ever asked us that.
I know.
That is too funny. Oh, my gosh. We met at a networking event, and a mutual friend of ours invited us. Georgette and I had never met, and we ended up talking and decided to have lunch one day, and lunch turned into a 5-hour discussion, and the waitress we had left for the day, and somebody else came back and asked us if we were ready for dinner.
Wow.
And, we have been close friends ever since. And I just can't believe the blessings that have just come out of our connection. It's been wonderful for me.
Oh, that's so nice because it's so funny. So Georgette and I co-authored a book with another friend of ours. It was called The Cookbook to Romance, and we were so afraid to put our names on that book. We put pen names, so everybody had their own pen name. So it's like, and the reason being because I used to go to church a lot. And Adele used to go to church a lot, and we were like, "Yeah, we can't put our name on that book." So it was so funny to see that Kim is a leader at church, and Georgette is the romance enhancer. But what the pastor said to us about that book, he said, "Listen, people in church need to know this stuff too." So it was funny. But by that time, the book was printed, and our names couldn't go on it. So, thank you, ladies, for being here. Kim, now listen, y'all. I did an interview with Kim years ago when there was a company out, and I know a lot of you probably don't even know. It was called Babblegum, and it was such a nice platform. It was kind of like Zoom. Zoom had never came out. Babblegum was out. You can bring in people, do an interview with video, and oh my God, it was like cutting edge. I was so happy. And this guy came on in the middle of the interview. We did a great interview. So this was before I was as savvy as I am now when it comes to editing. This guy comes on. He's really calm. He sounds really professional, and he starts to talk about defecating. And we were like, so everybody kind of paused, like, did he just say what we thought he said? It was hilarious. I couldn't even use the interview. It was horrible. And so what happened was people could just come into your interview. Like they could just invite themselves in. And that's what he did. And he was like, yeah, I want to know, it was crazy, y'all. It was like, you just had to imagine what he said. And we were sitting there like, did he just say what we thought he said?
We're all looking.
It was a mess. But anyway, you can't.
I forgot about that. Oh my gosh, that was funny.
Yes, Kim. And I was like, oh my God. And it was such a great interview up until that point. So I didn't know how to edit that because I wasn't editing videos back then. So we was like, oh my God, I just lost a great interview because this fool comes on there talking about defecating on somebody. So, and he was so professional with it. That's what threw us off because he was calm and he was, nice and professional.
Sure.
And we were like, and then we had to stop. Like, did he just say what we thought? Because you could see our faces. Like, did he just say what we? Did he just say what we thought he said? But anyway, that was back in the day. People probably don't even have a clue what Babblegum was. But it was like one of the first video platforms where you could do interviews, and it was really cool though. Zoom has come along and changed some things and all this other stuff. Anyway, I want to talk about storytelling. I know you guys have a big event coming up. We'll talk about that at the end. But tell us how people can tell us stories and how stories can transform their lives. Because I know, for me, this is what I've always thought, right? And this is just me. And you guys can kind of help me out with this. I hate reliving stuff over and over. So I don't want to tell the bad stories, right? Because I feel like I'm reliving the pain over and over and over again. And so I know that you teach people how to tell the story so it can help them transform their lives. When I discovered a story that caused me pain, I was like, oh, that's the story. And I don't want to talk about it again. I've had the craziest time whenever I have to rehash the fact that my uncle passed away from COVID-19 and the best man passed away from COVID-19. Every time I tell that story, I don't feel like it helps me, but I feel like it's probably helping somebody that's listening. So tell the audience, why and how can story be transformative in their lives right now?
So, Audrey, that I didn't understand that either until I had the experience of it. So my first experience with storytelling was when a friend was helping me tell the story of my father's passing. And my father's passing was devastating for me. And I felt like you did. I didn't want to think about it again. I didn't want to go through it again, but I felt it was important to tell the story for other people. So I was at my friend's house, and he was coaching me through telling it. And yes, it was painful, and it was extremely emotional. But what happened was it enabled me to get out all of this emotion that I had stuffed down inside of me. Just because you don't look at it doesn't mean it's not there. And all of us have this intense emotion about losses in our lives. And the process of storytelling teaches you that it is healthy to get it out, that nothing bad is going to happen to you, that these feelings are natural and good. Good is in quotes because there often is pain associated with that. And what I learned in a process was that I gained freedom for me, emotional freedom and mental space in my head. Because when we hold in our emotions, it takes a whole lot of energy. And then we find that we're just trying to stick it down in this place inside of us, and we hold it there tightly, and you spend all this mental and emotional energy trying to keep it there. Storytelling allows you to have space with people who are supporting you emotionally and mentally in the room, and sometimes physically. Sometimes you need a hug or something like that. You need somebody to hold your hand through it. But it allows you to let go of this, to vent all of that emotion that all of us have, but we choose to ignore because it's not an easy process to let it go. And now I still have the same emotion about my father's passing, but it doesn't take me over and lay me down for 2-3 days at a time. Before, the emotion was so devastating, it would make me want to get in bed and pull the covers over my head and not come out. And now I find that I can let my emotion go, and then I can get to my day. I have energy for all the other things I want to do in my life. And so it's taught me how to deal with loss. And we lose things every day. Look what we've lost in this pandemic. Look at what's happening in our country. Having about that. If we don't let that emotion go, what it does is eat us up inside.
So how do people know?
Yeah, that's what I found it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, G. Go ahead and share.
No, that's what I found too, and I do get that question, especially with the story that I have to tell about my stillbirth. I get that question a lot. Like, why would you want to tell this over and over? Isn't this painful? But I think for me, it wasn't so much that, yes, it is painful, but at the same time, it connected me to that situation, to a situation that I never had an opportunity to express, never had an opportunity to talk about. Never had an opportunity to actually heal from that. I didn't know that. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't even know that was going on within me until I met Kim and I saw her story, and I realized, wow, this is something that I have to do, something that I have to share. And then at the end of the day, I share it because I know it helps somebody else. My story is not going to ever help somebody heal or move forward in their lives if I don't express it. And I just wasn't expressing it. And maybe because it was really traumatic for me. I was 16 and I didn't know how to talk about it. But I think for me, storytelling gives me an opportunity to talk about the experience and to process it in a way that is helpful to you as the storyteller, and as well as helpful to the listener who's listening to the story, because they can be connected to that. And that's what I found for me. I think that's what helps a lot of the listeners too, that they realize that they're not alone, that somebody else shares this story, and then it allows them to grieve a little bit more, because not being able to grieve and not being able to express your story, as Kim said, really does a lot more damage inside to us than we even know. It creates, more high blood pressure, a lot of other physical things that that damage us. Because we're not sharing that story. It's like trying to stuff all this negative energy and this bad energy into a space, and eventually it can't be contained any longer. And it shows up in so many different ways. So I think the storytelling helps you to process that, and also it helps you to understand that it's your story, but you're not that story. That's not the only thing you are. And so I think storytelling really helped me to verbalize that, to make it, and to be able to craft it the way I need to tell it, Yeah.
So let me ask you this, because there are people who are probably listening right now who have this deep story that they've probably never told anybody. So what are some steps that because it's probably a fear of being judged, a fear of breaking up families, because I'm sure there's some stories that people have that have inside, and they say, if I tell this story, it's going to ruin my family. Or if I tell this story, people are going to judge me because of it. What are some steps people can use to tell a story in a way that it releases them from guilt and shame and fear, so they can move forward and be transformed?
Audrey, I think it's important that people choose wisely who they share their story with. And so when I told the story of my father's passing, I didn't know what to do with all of that emotion, but I was with a friend who I trusted with my life. And they sat with me and allowed me to have all my emotion. And also they were comfortable with their own emotion. It was actually a male friend of mine who was perfectly willing, and he did cry with me as I told my story. And he didn't try to stop me. He didn't judge me for having the emotion. He didn't call me weak or anything. In fact, he said that he was honored that I shared those feelings with him. And so we need to be careful about who we share our innermost selves with. And it needs to be someone who can handle it, for one, someone who's going to let you just tell the story like you need to tell it, and be with you and your emotion and not fear it. And if nothing else, they encourage you to tell the whole story and sit with you during that time. And not everybody can or will do that for you. Because like you said, most of us are holding our own emotion and are afraid of them. And when we're afraid of our emotion, I'm also afraid of yours, and I don't want you to let it go in front of me, because then I'm really uncomfortable, and I'm just going to shut it down.
Was that your reason?
Yeah, I need to piggyback off of that.
Okay.
Because I think that's true. I think that at the end of the day, like, I didn't tell my story from the age 16 all the way to the age I am now. And for some reason, I guess because I saw Kim do her story, I felt comfortable sharing my story with her. And when we sat down and we talked about it, and she, she kind of said, "Hey, this is your story, and I just want you to share it with me. Are you willing to do that?" And I said yes. And we went to my house and I shared my story. And I will tell you, I had never in my life shared that story fully, because I don't think I ever touched that story fully.
Why was that?
It was never the conversation was never there for me to do that. Nobody ever asked me about it. And when they did ask me about it, it was just very, oh yeah, this happened to me. Like, I never sat in that story and realized how scared I was and how vulnerable I was. I never did that. And she, for some reason, and this is the thing, right? I think the universe brings people in, for reasons, and seasons, obviously. And she was there, she was able to do that part for herself, and she was able to help me do that part and make me feel safe to really be emotionally raw in that space. But I feel the other thing is your story may not be something you want to tell on stage, Your story may not be something that you want to do the way that we do it. But if you do have somebody safe enough to tell it, you know what I mean? Maybe part of that is just being able to get it out. Just being able to have somebody there to safely hold you there and hold space for you to get it out. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to be on a stage doing that.
There are a lot of people who have stories that are locked in their heads, and they don't know why they do some of the things they do. And I'll give you a prime example. 2011, when Oprah first launched OWN TV, I was so excited because I'm all about owning your own stuff. That's my thing. And when she launched her own TV network, I was super duper excited. And I remember TD Jakes being on there. He was talking about not being enough. And I had never really heard anybody talk about that. And it was like he was talking. I think I was folding up clothes or something. And as he kept talking, I was like, he's talking about me. So I had all these hangups that I didn't even know. I had this story that was embedded in my head that I did not even know about until I sat there and I listened to him talk about, not being enough. And I realized, oh my God, girl, you got daddy issues. And I did not know it. So my daddy issues were that I never felt like I was enough for my father no matter what I did. And that made me take on this persona of making everything big so I could start out with a book. And by the time I finished writing the book, I had a website, a book, a podcast, a mobile app. It was never like I would never create things that was enough. And so, and to this day, I struggle with that. I struggle so heavily with that, but at least I know what it is. And I never really told a story until someone asked me to write. They wrote a book and they asked me would I tell, and the book was called Anchors. Would I tell my story? And I had never told anybody because I didn't even know I had the story. So my question to you guys is, how do you help people discover that they do have a story? Because a lot of times our story is what's holding us back, and we don't even know we have a story that's holding us back. So how do you help people uncover the story so they can heal and move forward?
Well, I guess I could answer that. I mean, and I'm sure Kim can share what she needs to share about that. But for me, I didn't know I had that story. Like, I knew I had the story of what happened to me, but I definitely didn't know that was a story that I needed to share on that level. Like, it didn't dawn on me. Honestly, it really did not. Even when Kim told me she had she did a storytelling. And she invited me to the One Woman Show, and I saw her tell her story, and I was just I can't explain that. I mean, for me, it was just like my soul I just cannot explain it. It just came up. As soon as I saw her tell her story, my story popped in my head, and this voice inside of me said, "You have to do this. You have this story." And I was like, "Who are you talking to?" Like, I was saying to myself, who said that? You know? And I literally went up to her and I said, I have a story to tell. I didn't know. I just didn't know. And I definitely didn't know it was that story. So sometimes I guess it shows up unbeknownst to you when you find somebody that you realize you can connect with, that it's safe for you to share the story. It just shows up. And I guess it shows up in other ways for different people, but that's how it showed up for me. And I think a lot of times when people see us, they'll come to us and say, "Oh my gosh, like, I have a story to tell. Like, I really want to be able to do that." And so that's how it happened for me. That's how I got involved in that, because I didn't know. I really, truly did not know that was the story I was going to be talking about, or that I was even going to be telling a story about that. I had no clue for me, Kim, I'm sure, can tell because she's worked with a lot more people of how that process works for them,
And Georgette is right, and you said it too, Audrey. But when we hear somebody else telling a story, the beauty of storytelling is that we see ourselves in the other person's journey. And so here, T.D. Jakes was talking about you, and you recognized yourself in his story, and that's how stories become healing for the audience, because they recognize that I'm talking about my father passing away, but then they see their own loved ones in my story. It's how the brain works. And it was also explained to me that the subconscious recognizes, like Georgette said, when it's safe for something to come up, and then whatever you have held inside of you starts to rise to the surface. And your body, your subconscious mind will let you know what story should come up and who's the person, what is the safe space where you can tell it, who's the person that you can tell it to. The universe always answers things at the perfect time for us. It's just amazing to contemplate. And so that's why Georgette and I do what we do, because we realize as we step forward and tell our stories, there are universal themes within our words, and people start to resonate with that. And then all of a sudden, like you said, oh my gosh, they're talking about me. Oh my gosh, that's how I felt about my father or my mother or my grandmother or my sister or brother passing away. That's how I felt when I had my miscarriage. Oh my gosh. And then you realize that there's something starting to come out of you, and then audience and storytellers start to cry together, or they just start to, they have this connection now and they're bonded, and people start to feel, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. Somebody else has gone through this. Somebody else has survived this, because a lot of times I think we don't tell our stories because we think if we bring it up, it's gonna do us in. It's gonna take over, and we're not gonna be able to handle it all. And here you can look at somebody and say, oh my gosh, she's standing up there talking about this. She's having her emotion, and look how powerful she is. I'm sure when you were looking at when you were listening to T.D. Jakes, that you thought, how can that man as accomplished as he is, ever think that he was not enough.
Right.
And then you realize, oh my gosh, I can do what he did. I can accomplish things. I now have the energy. I now can see how, even though I thought I was not enough, I am truly enough. And I can step forward and do what I'm called to do. I can step forward and I can have a life that is joyful, and I can thrive even though I've lost everybody in my family who's important to me. When my sister passed away, I didn't think Christmas could come because I associated holidays with her. And my first Christmas without my sister, I cried all day long. And it wasn't until I allowed myself to feel that emotion about losing her that Christmas started to become joyful. Now, it took a couple of years, but I was no longer afraid of the holiday. I can't tell you what that Christmas Eve was like that first year without her. I just thought it's physically impossible for Christmas Day to come. I don't know what's going to happen, but it can't come for me. And of course, the sun rose and it was December 25th, and I lived through it. And now I have glorious Christmases, but I still miss my sister, and there are sometimes tears, but I do all the things I used to do with her. I watch all the Christmas movies, and I sing and laugh and cry at the same places, and I remember her, but I have a joyful Christmas now. I didn't think that was possible the first year she died.
Wow.
And that's the power of storytelling. I was able to share that story about losing her, and I actually wrote the story, and I wept the whole time I was writing it, but it enabled me to now have holidays where I didn't think that was possible before.
Wow. I could tell you, for me, like when I discovered what that story was, it helped me recognize some things about myself. Like why do I make everything so big? And my daughter and my husband would always say, "Oh my God, you overcomplicate everything." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" But it was me trying to make things bigger and bigger and bigger because it was never enough. So you can give me the idea for an ink pen, and I guarantee you, now this is a good thing on the business side for some people. For me, it's not so much. But you could come to me and say, "Hey, Audrey, I got this idea for this ink pen," right? And for you, the person who's launching the pen, I got a whole plan for you, right? Right, soon as you tell me, I got a whole plan. But what would happen with me, Kim, is that I would have a plan. I would have an idea for a business. And it always happened on the business side. It didn't really happen in my personal life so much. But on the business side, and I realized after listening to the TD Jakes that I was seeking my father's approval, even though he had went on, and died and passed away. I was still seeking his approval. So it helped me to start learning, okay, Audrey, this is what you're doing now. It's almost like going through like the 12-step program. This is what you're doing, and this is why you're doing it. So stop, right? Don't take the blog and turn it into 12 businesses. It's just a blog. So stop. So it's like I feel like a person with an addiction, and so. That's what being able to understand that story has helped me to say, okay, stop. And I have to tell myself, okay, don't do that. Just stop. It's cool. The podcast is great. You get it. You love it. You do it every day. Just do it. Don't worry about making it, big, because I get lost in the making it big part. And I realized after I learned my story that this is what you do. And so I feel like there's a lot of people out there who have stories that are just embedded. Now, here's the other thing I find, Kim, and you can kind of clarify, speak to this, and Georgette. People who are held as a strong person in their families would not dare tell a story that's going to make them look weak. So,
yeah,
I was that person. I know people like that. How do you help? And things are holding you back, but you say, if I tell anybody this, they're gonna look at me differently. They're gonna think I'm weak, because I'm showing how vulnerable I am right now in this experience, and they won't tell the story for that reason, and it's holding them back. So, how do you help that person? What do you say to that person?
I think so. Vulnerability is actually, it takes strength and bravery to be vulnerable in front of people. And so T.D. Jakes was vulnerable in that moment when he admitted that at some point he thought he was not enough. And there may be days when he still gets up and he wonders if he's enough. I met some of the most accomplished women. I was a part of this group once, and I remember some of them were highly accomplished. They had multi-million-dollar businesses. They were, achievements. They served on huge boards of organizations and corporations, and they would get up in the morning and wonder, people are going to find out I'm a fraud, and I'm going to be found out. Mm. And I was struck by that. I thought, how could they possibly feel like that? But what I saw was that it took incredible bravery for them to do that and to show their innermost feelings. That's not weakness. And I learned that emotion is not weakness. Emotion is strength. Mm. And anytime we show ourselves, anytime that we open ourselves up, we are being strong and brave. And I would just encourage people to try it. And I think people will do exactly what you did with T.D. Jakes. You'll recognize that. You'll say, okay, yes, I can accomplish the things I want to accomplish and still have doubts and fears. And that those doubts and fears are not something to be ashamed of. They are something to move through along your journey and to keep right on going. Recognize it, see it, and move. See it and move. Just like with the feelings of looking for approval for your father constantly, and knowing that. So now, when you just said that, I also recognize that because I had that with my father. Mm. And so what I think is, first of all, now that bonds me and you. Mm. You have shared something with me that is intensely personal, and I have nothing but the highest regard for you because you stepped up and you trusted me and now this audience to know that about you. Mm. I don't see you as weak. I see you as strong to say, look, this is what happened to me, and I am not what happened to me. I am something more than that. Yeah. I am not the things that occurred to me.
I gotta tell you though, my muscle grew when I turned 50, Kim. I kind of said, "F it," like it's gonna be what it's gonna be, and so by that time I had learned about who I was. I learned about why I was the way I was, and I started saying no. Oh my God, I started saying no to things that I'm no. But when I started saying no, then people started calling me mean. Like, oh my God, you're so mean. And I was like, no, I'm not mean. I'm just not saying yes to stuff I don't want to say yes to anymore because I realize who I am now. And when I turned 50, forget about it. It was like, okay, I'm 50. I know what my issues are for real, finally. And I'm not saying yes to anything I don't want to do. So I think for me, being able to share that story and then put it in somebody's book, and I've never read the book because I'm like, okay, I don't want to see the story again. But I tell the story now more than I've ever told a story because I feel like there are a lot of women, more women than men. Well, let me say this. More women share that they feel that they're not enough than men. I find that there are men who feel the exact same way, but because of that vulnerability piece, they won't share it all. Women are coming around saying, you know what, I got to tell somebody this. Like, you know, I am this way because I just feel like, and my husband, and I still have a challenge with that. I had a challenge just last night. My husband said to me, man, you have accomplished more than people who have been on this earth longer than you. And I said to him, you know, you're right. Because this is me always. I'm always thriving to get to the next thing, And sometimes he brings me back down to earth like, girl, you done did so much. Like, you have done a lot. And I have to stop and think like, oh yeah, I did, right? And this is me. Oh yeah, I did, right? Let me go get me a cup of tea. Because sometimes you need that person that you can feel, like you said, feel safe with. But you also need that person in your life who can remind you of your greatness. And so for me, it's like Georgette. It's like my husband. It's like my daughter, you know. And so it's so funny when I learned about my story. Now I can instruct my daughter. So she has a story, right? We all have them. But I recognize her story is almost very similar to mine. So now I can kind of help her through the problem because I understand my story. So I kind of understand where she is. And that all helps me. Right. My story helped me to help her and understanding that I had a story. So I think what you're doing is amazing. I think being able to help people figure out what that story is, and just telling the story is amazing, because I know for a fact it has been a hindrance in my life, and I did not even know that I had that hindrance and what it was. So, being able to share this process with people, like I know you guys got workshops and services that you offer, but what is like one thing a person can do on their own if they can't come to see what you guys are, the events you're holding, or they can't afford your services? What is one thing that somebody can do to help them tell their story in a way that's non-threatening and safe?
I think the easiest thing to do, and it costs nothing, is to write it. And so I would sit down and at a time when you have some privacy, and write everything that you feel about a particular thing that has occurred in your life that's painful for you. And just let it, and I do believe that once you start writing, it is just going to come out, and my experience has been I can't write fast enough because the feelings and the thoughts are just rolling out of me. Mm-hmm. And write it until you can write no more. And it may take several days, it may take several weeks, but allow yourself that time. Keep it private, hide it somewhere, put it somewhere where nobody's going to find it. And if you need to, at the end, I would read it to yourself, maybe read it aloud to yourself, allow yourself to have those feelings. And if it's something that you really need to keep private, destroy it afterwards. Burn it up, shred it, tear it up in tiny pieces and throw it away. But I think that's a way to really let yourself have those feelings and let them come out slowly. Trust yourself. Keep telling yourself it's okay to have the feelings, cry, get angry, do whatever it is you need to do, but just keep writing until you can write about it no more. And then acknowledge it. Tell yourself that story. Read those words out loud, because saying something out loud gives it power, gives you power. The throat is the power center. And you speak out those things and you vent them, and then you can release them in a healthy way, in a private way.
Wow.
And then do what you want with the written story.
That's great. That's great advice. I started to journal, and I tell you, man, just writing that stuff, before I wouldn't do it. I'm like, man, I'm not journaling. Like, what is that supposed to do? But I kept hearing like the most successful people, they journal. And when I tell you, it has been truly therapeutic for me. I lost my dog, and that's another story that's painful to tell. It almost, even to this day, it brings me to tears almost, because the dog would be in the office with me every day. So she's not here with me every day. And the first week that she passed away was so painful for me. And I said to my daughter, I'm never getting another dog. And she's like, nah, you don't feel like that. I said, listen, I'm telling you that was so painful for me. I'm never getting another dog. But what was funny is her friend bought a dog this past weekend, cutest little black dog ever. And she brought the dog to me. And I was like, oh my God. And for a brief second, I was like, maybe I'll get a dog. Now, here's the funny thing. We bought the dog for her when she was like 14. And I said to my husband, don't get the dog, because I'm going to have to take care of it. So I was fussing. I'm going to be the one taking care of the dog. And that's exactly what happened. She was 14. She went off to college. She came home from college. She go out and party. Who got the dog? Me. So even though it was her dog, it was like my dog too. And
your grand dog.
I call her my grand dog. That's my grand dog. And she was bad, Kim, and she was mean. She would bite people. I was like, oh God, somebody is going to sue me, because every time somebody come up here with black shoes on, she would bite the dog. She would bite him. I was like, oh my God. And she was tiny. She was like 6 pounds, but she was the meanest little dog ever, and I loved her. But I found that being able to write that story down and my feelings about how I felt about that, it was so therapeutic, and it really got me through, because the first week was so hard for me, because all the little things that you don't notice until they're gone. Like she would she would sleep in my office, right? She would come up every morning. She wouldn't even go to my daughter's door. She would come to my door so I can let her outside. And then she would come inside, and then we'll do this walk and talk thing. And then she'll stand there and like, go downstairs, because you're not coming in my room because your feet are wet, because you just came from outside. So your paws are wet. But this was our thing like every day. And sometimes we would take the garbage out the can and kind of sit it on the floor. But before we can get it outside to the garbage can, she would rip the bag open. So all of these little things that she no longer could do was like a memory for me that was very painful. And my way of getting through that was writing it out, writing it out. I didn't talk to anybody. I would just write about it. And I found myself writing 2 or 3 times a day because it was the little things that kept showing up that caused me to be in pain. And I was like, oh my God, I'm never getting another dog until I saw it. So they call it dog Shadow. Until I saw Shadow, I'm like, oh, Shadow is so cute. And so, but I'm not ready yet, like, because that's like having a baby. So now I know you guys, yeah, they're like having a baby. I know you guys have an event coming up. Tell us about the event.
Go ahead, Georgette.
You're funny. We have this online event via Zoom. It's called it's on October 24th at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm sorry, and you can check us out at standingintruthnow.com, and you can get all the information there. You can learn more about me, my story, Kim's story. How we got together while we're doing this. And again, it's on Zoom, so you have an opportunity to come and watch the stories. You'll be able to hear beautiful music that's going to be played live. And you'll also be able to be part of the live discussion that me and Kim will have after the stories and the music finish. You can ask us questions and talk about the process. And so we're excited, and we really want, love you to participate so you can do some healing for yourself or bring some people along. Grab some girlfriends, grab your husband, just somebody you can sit down and listen to the stories and, start a conversation about some things that you may be grieving about. And again, you can find more information at www.standingintruthnow.com, and it's October 24th.
Now, okay. So here's that thing that's about to jump out. So are you guys going to take this on the road? Because that's my thing, Kim. I'm having a vision right now. I'm having a vision of standingintruthnow.com and the whole event. So just say no, Audrey, we're not doing that. But I'm just having a vision right now how big this could be.
No, we are doing it. Well, initially we did it at a theater. We did this 4 years ago. We did it at a theater in Dallas, which was just amazing. And it was my first time being on stage doing my story. So it was just petrifying to me, but very powerful. And we did it with 2 other women and Kim. And then we was going to do it live, right, Kim? We were going to do it in person this year, but because of COVID, as Audrey always talked about, you have to pivot. So we pivoted, and this is how we're presenting it this time. But, we would love to do it live again and bring some more people, together so that they share their story as well on stage. If that's what they choose to do. Like I said, you don't have to do it on stage, but this is our calling to do that on stage at this particular time. So, yeah.
Yeah, in my vision, I see you guys traveling around. In my vision, I see you I kind of feel like the vagina monologues, how they traveled around. That's the vision I see. I need to stop saying that. That may be a true gift that I have, and I'm thinking it's something else. I might do have a vision. So, but anyway, that's the vision I see.
I know you're a visionary, Audrey.
Yes.
You're a visionary.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see this being really big. I can see y'all doing TED Talks. I can see all of that. I see this being amazing because people are really struggling because they don't even know that they have a story that's sitting dormant inside of their subconscious, and it's really holding them back in life, or it's causing them to cause friction in their own lives, and they don't even know that. So standing in your truth now, oh my God, the title is so powerful, and I really do see you guys doing a TED Talk about this. And I really do see this on a global scale, helping so many people do exactly that, standing their truth now. So, wow, thank you for sharing your stories and your wisdom and all of the things you're doing to just empower people and to help them get out of their heads and transform their lives and get these stories out to the world. I don't mind sharing my story now, even though some of them are still pretty painful. I don't mind sharing them because I've learned to understand that they do help people to either discover that they have a story or that it helps someone heal. So I understand the importance of storytelling. Here I am hosting a podcast. So what I do every day, tell stories. Just other folks' stories. Not my own story. Other folks.
One more thing I do want to share, and I know me and Kim had talked about this yesterday, was that it's not, I think a lot of times when you look at telling a story, you definitely look at our stories because they are about grief and losing a spouse or losing, a child or something like that. But there's so many other ways of grieving. There's so many other levels of grief. And I think a lot of times people are afraid because they think it's just about somebody dying, right? But it's not that. It's about, disconnecting from a friendship that you had, moving away from a place that you lived in, all your life, or relocating or getting older, and you're just not doing the things that you used to be able to do, grieving the youth that you had. So it's about grieving in all those aspects of your life. It's not just because somebody passed away. Or something passed away. It's still, the energy is still about grieving. And I know me and Kim talked about that yesterday, and I think that that's so important to understand that it's not just because of somebody passed away. It could be just because you lost, your best friend moved away, right? Or, you moved to another place, and now you're grieving, being in that space that was comfortable for you. So it's all different levels of grief, and they all really change how we feel inside and change how we see other things in our lives. And so I just wanted to be able to share that too. Because I don't want people to just think it's just about, somebody passing away. That just happens to be the stories that we're sharing right now.
Thank you so much. So listen, guys, give the people your website one more time before we go. I'm out of time, and I'm about to go be interviewed after this interview. So how can they reach out to you again and attend the event?
They could go
October 24th.
Sorry. Go ahead, Kim.
October 24 at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's standingintruthnow.com.
All right, Standing in Truth Now. I'm predicting you guys are going to be doing the TED Talks. So that's my prediction for you for the next 6 months. And good luck with the TED Talk. And be sure to let me know so I can come out and support the TED Talk. So I'm just putting it out to the universe. Thank you so much for being my guest today. Kim, I'm so glad we got to do an interview and nobody actually interrupted us this time with some nonsense. So this interview is actually live. Thank God. Listen, that interview was live too, but this one is live. And if you want to find out more about the event, you know where to go. And thank you, Georgette, for, putting this all together. Georgette is behind the scenes. Y'all always helping me, and I love her to life for that. And I appreciate you for being in my life and being a part of the things that I do. And I also appreciate the fact that you and Kim are really helping people transform their lives. So thank you so much. All right. So listen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So listen, guys, I'm about to go to a song, and I'll be right back after this song to close it out. So stay tuned. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful weekend.
Caught by a feeling, goes beyond the right or wrong. I hear you calling.
Welcome back. So listen, guys, I hope you enjoyed that interview. Listen, tell your stories because your stories could help somebody. Now, listen, before I go, because you know it's my Friday and I got to go because I'm about to be interviewed in 28 minutes. I want to give you my word of inspiration for the day, and here it goes. The truly successful person inspires others to do more than they have thought possible for themselves. Let me say that one more time. The truly successful person inspires others to do more than they have thought possible for themselves. Dennis Waitley said that, and he was right. Sometimes you just need to be an inspiration to somebody else and show them all the good things about them. Because sometimes people are just down and out and they don't feel good about themselves. And sometimes all you need to do is say a kind word to somebody and it could change their life. I'm good for doing that. I could be in a grocery store. I tell y'all this all the time. I love perfume. I love to smell good. And if anybody, man or woman, smells good, I'm like, you know what? You smell great. Because here's the thing. Nobody may not have said anything nice to them all day. And you say something nice to them and they feel amazing. Like, wow, it was worth me putting on the perfume or the cologne today. And sometimes you just have to do that. You have to be an inspiration to others. Kim and Georgette have been inspirations to people around the world by sharing their storytellings and telling their stories and putting on these events and empowering people to know that it's okay. It's okay to tell your story. It's okay for you to share your experience with people because your experience could possibly save somebody's life. Your experiences can empower somebody. I had to learn that, and I tell my stories, even though sometimes it's still very painful for me to share certain things. I tell a lot about me on this show. If you go back and listen to the show, I probably tell too much. But my prayer is that what I'm sharing is going to inspire somebody to do something better for themselves, for their families, for their communities, for the world. So listen, that's all I got for you today. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you spent the last hour and 4 minutes with me, and I appreciate you and love you for that. GoDaddy finally got my website back online after me being on an hour yesterday on the phone with them yesterday for an hour and 17 minutes. Yes, I wrote it down, and no, I'm not that anal, but they pissed me off, so I had to write it down. An hour and 17 minutes until they finally got it right, and then they try to blame me, which if they don't give me back a refund, I'm going to be really pissed and sue them. But anyway, that's all I got for you today. If you missed any episode of the show, please go to goodmorninggwinnett.com to listen to past episodes there. And follow me on Facebook at Good Morning Gwinnett. Follow me on Twitter at GM Gwinnett. And follow me on Instagram at Good Morning Gwinnett. And do me a favor. Go to Apple Podcasts. Find your favorite episode. Give it 5 stars. And share it with a few people. And tell them to give it 5 stars. Need your help doing that? It's free. There's no cost to that. Just share, y'all. I really appreciate you being here. I'll be back again on Monday at 10 a.m. Listen, don't forget, it's early voting. Get out to vote. It is important that you cast your vote. Don't be bamboozled. I know they say somewhere, I forgot what state it was, but they were putting out fake ballot boxes. Listen, take your ballot to a box close to your voter's registration office. Don't let them fool you. They're collecting ballots so they can throw them in the river. Yeah, that's what they're really doing. So anyway, make sure to get out and vote and stay safe while you're doing it. Keep your mask on. Coronavirus is still out there and it's really wreaking havoc all over again. I feel like it's March 2020 again. I don't want to feel that way, but it looks like it's happening all over again. So be safe out there. Put your mask on. I'll be back again Monday at 10 a.m., God willing. Until next time, make it a great day. Bye, y'all.
You've been listening to Good Morning Gwinnett. Make sure to tune in Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time to find out what's happening around Gwinnett. If you like this episode, subscribe now and share with your friends. To learn more about Noise Media Network, visit noisemedia.us.